It was just a hassle to keep our ads running, let alone get results from them, right? And then it got to a point where I couldn't even get my ads approved anymore. I just didn't have the time to figure it out. And you know what? I think it's time to bring in a professional. I need someone to help me fix my ads. Probably about 36 people responded, and you were the only one that got it to work.
I have to call it a chess match. The chess match, fighting with Facebook, fighting with ads, just trying to figure out the thing. And if you're trying to get listings, whether you're trying to get sales, whatever it is you're trying to get, we need to speak about that one thing. On that one page, that's where we're going to solve a problem. And it's trying to figure out that market, is figuring out which one works. You don't know until you try it.
All right, folks, we are back. I have a great one for you today. We have Chris Bledsoe. And, Chris's, claim to fame, at least for me, is that he became our media buyer. Like he helped figure out, and now he handles all the ads that we run for PowerISA. And that's something that's kind of near and dear to my heart, because for a few years, like the first 8 years of this company, I ran all the ads, right? Whether it was, Google ads, Meta, Instagram, Facebook, I ran them all. Like I ran them and managed them, and kind of, the way every small business owner does at some point, right? Got to get into it and manage that. And then it got to a point, I want to tell that story too, got to a point where I needed some help. Right. And I think that story is pretty awesome. But before I get into that, the nitty gritty about ads and real estate and everything, Chris, why don't you do a quick, give us a quick intro. Who are you? Right. And how'd you get into this whole media buying, ad consulting business? Go for it.
Absolutely. My name is Chris Bledsoe. I've been running ads. Oh my gosh, Gustavo, I think I've lost count, man. I usually just stop the number at 12 plus years. I've been running ads. Cool. Funny how I got into it. It's kind of ever since I was in high school, I always said I want to be a computer programmer. Didn't know what that meant. Didn't even know what it looked like. But somehow I got involved in, I was trying affiliate marketing years ago. I was trying different things, but I started doing web design and this little WordPress websites, things like that. And then I started doing that rent a site, things like that. And started really getting into the media side and started loving the chess match. And I have to call it a chess match. The chess match with fighting with Facebook, fighting with ads, just trying to figure out the thing. And I said, you know what? Let me step out, see if I can get a couple of clients. And then it just soared from there. Worked in the background for many other guys. And then finally decided to go out on my own and do my own thing. Been doing that for the last 12 years.
Awesome. That's wild, and you mentioned, I love that word, the chess match, because that's my personal experience too. And people don't know what we're talking about, people kind of think that these platforms are static. You go in there, you run your ads and you're kind of done. And I'm like, anyone thinks that or says that has never run ads before, right?
No.
Because, as soon as you get like an ad working, it can stop working for a lot of reasons. It can stop working because, the market changes, looks at another audience takes a look at it, or my personal favorite, the platform like blocks it. This is a Meta thing, right? Like Meta loves doing that. It blocks your ad, it blocks your account, it blocks this and that. And this was going bonkers last year, I think, because of the election, right? I just everything. Actually, it was I think a year ago. Like it was like just from September on, it was just a hassle to keep our ads running, let alone get results from them, right?
Right.
Just keeping them up and running was crazy. They were flagging accounts like crazy, and and that was the chess match, and there was always that chess match, and ever since it's just last year it just went bonkers, in my opinion. I think it just went overkill, overdrive on a lot of these accounts, and it got to the point, Chris, where I was spending more time trying to keep my account active than in testing out new ads, trying new things. I wasn't spending any time doing that, and then it got to a point where I couldn't even get my ads approved anymore. There's a whole approval process and creation, and I just didn't have the time to figure it out. And you know what? I think it's time to bring in a professional. And I don't know if I told you this story, but the way I went about it was this, right? I said, you know what? I don't think I need a big Ylopo, a big marketing agency. I need someone to help me fix my ads. Someone to come in here, look under the hood, and help me out and get this back up and running, right? That was my ask. So I posted in a lot of these massive Facebook groups, because Facebook groups are kind of my thing. Let's go to Facebook groups, like the high level group, ClickFunnels. I clicked all the usual places and said, hey, I need someone to help me with these kinds of ads. I think at that point, I think it was like employment ads. We were running our ISA recruiting ads, but nothing was working. But I said, if I'm going to start, I got to fix these first, right? Because we had been like 10 days with no ads, and that was just killing my business, right? So hey, someone got to jump in and help me. Someone with experience in figuring out employment-based ads, because I cannot get them approved anymore, not even once. And I've already lost like 2 accounts trying to get this to work. I need some help. And Chris, I think probably about 3 dozen people responded, maybe more, probably like 40, 50 people like sent message, I can help you out. I can help you out. I can help you out. Once I actually got serious about it, I said, great, I need you to help me out, and I'll pay. Tell me if you're going to charge me by the project or by the hour or whatever, but I'm not going to pay until you can actually get my ad account approved, right? Like, show me you can do it. Show me you can actually do it, and then I'll pay you. Let's agree on a number, and I'll just pay it. Don't worry about it, right? And once I said that, right, I think only about 6 or 7 people said yes to that. Out of 50, oh, you're not going to pay me up front for like a month or a retainer or 6 months, or no, I'm good. Like, wait, this is hard. I got to make sure you know how to do this, right? 7 people said yes. I think 5 people actually did some work, and you were the only one that got it to work. You were the only one that went into my account.
That's awesome.
And got in there, and like this took like a week, like a few days, right? And then I figured it out. You found why it was getting flagged and getting banned, and you fixed it within my own account, by the way, because a lot of them refused to work within my account. Like, oh no, I got to work on my. And you're like, hey, I can help you out. Rolled up your sleeves, and you kind of jumped in, right? And I'm pretty sure, I don't remember, you didn't even quote me a price. I said, hey, let me. You weren't sure you could help me. You actually weren't sure you could help me. Like, you know what? I'll give it a shot, but I'm not sure. Let me see. If I can help, I'll help. And then I'm like, I don't know if this guy's serious. You genuinely wanted to help out, because you didn't say, hey, if you don't pay me $500, I'm not going to do this. You jumped in, you got it to work, and you're, I don't know, man, your head works in a way like you like figuring these things out. I don't know if you like puzzles or what, but you tinkered with it until it worked. And holy cow, that was really impressive to me. And then we worked out a relationship, worked out how it was going to work, but you came value first, right? Like, let me see if I can help you out, because if I can help you out, this is worth something. But if I can't help you out, why would I charge you? Like, what? And I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. Holy cow, right? As a small business owner, I love working with people like that. Like, if you can help me, let's work together. If I can't help you, why would we want to work together?
Right.
Like, that totally makes sense. So that was the beginning. That was the first project we did. Within a few days, we were back up and running, saved the day for us, in a big way. And then, earlier this year, like the beginning of 2025, that was the tail end of 24. This year, I said, hey, Chris, if you seem to know your way around these these ads, why don't you help us like launch our bigger ads, the harder ads, which is, hey, we want to attract real estate agents, right? We want to attract real estate agents. And I want to be really honest with you. This is a humbling moment for me. I had tried to run those ads on my own, Chris, like probably at least 3 or 4 times before. Sometimes spending $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 on these campaigns for several months. And I think we had maybe closed 2 or 3 deals, like total of an ad spend. Let's say it was $10,000 all in, maybe got 1 or 2 clients from it. And these are not real estate commissions that are 10 grand each. No. It's like $1,000 clients, maybe $2,000 clients. And I'm like, man, all that work. Basically, I didn't even break even on these ads. Like, I'm not even like even money. Nah, this is too hard. I had tried it and given up, a bunch of times. And I said, hey, maybe Chris can help me out with that. And we're here. We've been running this for, I want to talk about that. We went through some iterations on these ads, right? Because I want to tell people the story, because it's not like you set it up and you're done. Okay. It's like, let's use a generic ad that works for everybody. Let's drop it in here, and that should just work. It's a little bit more complicated. If it were that easy, I would have figured it out on my own. Mm-hmm. I would have just run it, and we would have been fine, right? It took a lot of iteration, a lot of different kinds of ads. I want to talk a little bit about that, like what kinds of ads are really out there that can work. And now I think we just closed another deal last week. I think we're up to 20 plus clients acquired through Facebook ads. And this can be a big part of our business now. So that we went from like complete failure, for years, to actually something that's working we can actually build on. Now my biggest issue, Chris, is not the ads. It's my team closing these deals. And I realized, hey, one of my guys closes them at like 30%, another guy at like 10, and another guy at like 5, right? Like, okay, so someone can close these at 30%, which is what I need as a team. So now I got to level up my team on the closing side. But that's no longer a marketing problem. One of my guys can close them at 30, almost 40%. Okay, now we're cooking, right? Because that's a cost to acquire a client of like $500 for me, $600 for me, which means the ROAS on that is like 10x. Like I get 10 times the money back for the cost of one client. ROAS, return on ad spend, which is ultimately the only thing that really matters as a business owner. That's what you should look at, like cost to acquire a client, $500-600, and what's the return on ad spend? For us, it could be like 10x, right? So now I have to level up my team, because it's not just marketing, it's sales too, right? So the sales part I have to level up, but on the marketing side, we've come. It's been huge. We've come really, really far. So let's unpack that. It's a kind of a little bit of a rant there, but I want to tell us. I don't think I've ever spoken about that publicly before. I want to give you credit where credit is due. But we started out. And I think the first thing we started, I think everyone should start with lead forms. So I don't know what your thoughts are on lead forms, but it just seems to me, that's the only thing I'd ever tried. Really, it seemed like the obvious choice. What do you think about lead forms? We're talking about meta ads here as a topic.
It's funny you asked me that, because I have a friend of mine. That's what he runs in his agency all the time. I can't stand them. I'm going to be honest, but I'm not saying they don't work. There are ways to play with them. But honestly, I think and I'll just use this out there. This is a tip for anybody. If you're going to use a lead form, make it go to a messaging something, so a conversation gets started. Don't just send them to a website or something. Usually those are not good. And then also make it where they're having to play with the form more than they are just putting their name and address in there. Make sure they're answering some questions, because it makes it a little bit realer. But other than that, I personally don't like them. I've never had any luck with them. I don't know why. It's usually high leads, low cost, but the quality is just not there.
That, and you told me that from the start. I'm like, no, Chris, you don't know. My team's amazing. Well, because I run an ISA, like a calling team, right? So no, we're gonna figure this out. And we closed some deals from lead forms. It's just that the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. Very low conversion rate.
Right.
A lot of leads coming in. Like I said, a lot of leads coming in. Can't complain about the leads, but holy cow. I think we tried messenger ads, and then like lead form ads, which is, like you said, high volume, low cost, just anyone that's willing to click on that low friction, kind of a low friction ad. And like, a few months in, I said, you know what, we're getting traction with this. I just want to try your first suggestion, which was the lander ad. Can you tell people what that even means? Like, I never heard the term like lander. When you tell someone, hey, I want to, there's different kinds of ads, messenger based ads, really cool. The lead form ads, very easy to generate. What's a lander as opposed to those other two?
So a landing page is, what it is. It's a website page. And here's let me throw this out there too, because that's not your website. Too many people go to a website.
True.
Whereas a website has too many things for people to click on. So what a lander is, it's a funnel. Think of a funnel. You want everybody to funnel into one spot. So if you're trying to get listings, whether you're trying to get sales, whatever it is you're trying to get, we need to speak about that one thing. And then on that one page, that's where we're going to solve a problem. And once you prove that you solve a problem, well, then they're going to sign up off that landing page, whether we have a lead form on there or a place for them to set up an appointment, or however we have that page set up. Then I can track things like higher end stuff, like a conversion, which is a lead. Did this count as a lead? Did they actually fill out? I think with yours right now, we're doing a website calendar conversations or something like that. So
booked call.
Yeah. So when it comes back, it says booked. And guess what? Once I start seeing those booked ones, now I can optimize and go booked. And now think of the quality. Your quality is this much higher. Plus, we're running on yours. We're running to a VSL, a video sales page. So they're watching a video on the reason why they should use your services. And to me, that is a lot better than sending to a little form that says, "Hey, I can sell your house." Click, 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 and that's it. Well, how can you sell my house? What makes you better than you? Think about this. I mean, how many real estate agents are in this world, Gustavo?
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
Oh my God. Yeah.
I
You
mean,
throw a rock and you hit like two agents, right? Yeah.
what is your unique selling proposition compared to all of those other ones? Well, what better way to do that than have someone come in? And I mean, I've not tried this on specific properties, but I would even go as far as even trying a landing page for specific properties. I think that could be
As you
amazing.
were talking, I thought about that, and they go, some of especially the higher end property. Let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
Like the higher end properties that have like really really great features, like that would be a great video. Like that would be a
Oh
great
yeah,
piece of content to record and talk about it more in detail. Who's gonna watch that? Only people that are really interested in
right.
the property, right?
And they're not
Great.
going to realestate.com or realtor.com to look it up. They're going from, they see a house. Oh, that house is beautiful. I want it. It's in their feed because they live in that area and that's where they want to move to. They click on it. And then all of a sudden they go to this huge, massive page. It talks about why this house is the best house. So it's kind of like having your own little realtor page on your own. It's your brand. I love it.
100%. 100%. And that's a great idea because it is so when people talk about, lead form ads and messenger ads, and now you talk about a landing page VSL, I don't want to, I want to be transparent with people. The level of difficulty, like, is different. I don't care what you say. Like because Chris, there's a lot of tools that will automatically create a lead form for you now. Like there's a lot of, there's software out there, I think like Keller Williams has one, EXP has one. They got little helper tools. They grab your listing, I'll just make an ad out of it. Like automatic, and they'll just publish it for you. Like those are pretty easy to do. So
Mm-hmm.
easy that people automate it, right? And or you can buy a piece of software that'll generate ads for you. Those ads are pretty easy to make. What we're talking about is something different, right? You have to design, these landing pages in a way that gets people's attention, and you have to create a video sales letter, a little video that speaks to whatever problem they're going to solve, whatever desire they have. You got to give them what they need, and you got to kind of hit those pain points. And even when we're talking about landing page, I remember you were testing. So it's not obvious what's going to work. I want to tell people that too. This is why I struggled with it, because you showed me two different versions of the landing page, and I'm like, Chris, this one's like way better. Like this is, it's got way more information. It's just amazing. Like this is a great user, and that one didn't win.
No, it did not.
It didn't
The ugly one
convert
won.
as well. People like the simpler one, like a
They do.
simpler kind of flat one, and I'm like, yeah, well, you know what? What do I know, right?
And you don't know unless you know the market. And it's trying to figure out that market is figuring out which one works. You don't know until you try it. And it's not to say that in another month or another few days that we won't try another test and say, hey, let's try another landing page, see what happens.
Yeah, I think that iterative process, I know a lot of agents struggle with that, right? They don't have because if your tech skills are maxed out, even creating a lead format, do you think you're going to be left, wanting to try out A/B test that sucker and these the creative and this tech? No, maybe you might stumble into like something like a Facebook dynamic ad that'll kind of test a few things for you.
Yes.
Doubtful you even know what that is, or you'll really take advantage of it, right? So, folks need to trust me when I tell them that at some point you need to have a pro come in and help you out because you don't have either the knowledge, the time, or the desire to figure this stuff out at that level. And I think that, ads is something that as real estate agents, we need to figure it out, right? We have to find a way to get the result that we want, right? So I thought that was, that was really interesting because a lot of the stuff that I thought going into it, like, oh, I know ads. I'm an ads guy. I just didn't know because I went to the next level of difficulty, the next level of the next level deep. I'm like, oh, okay, this is way harder, right? Once you throw a landing page in there and the design of it and the VSL and the headline and all these other things, it just makes it a lot more complicated. And thanks to your help, right? Like we've been able to figure it out. Because for me, usually that's where I stopped. Like, you know what, this isn't working. I gotta try something else. The next shiny object. would come out, right? So that's kind of where we're at. Now we try new videos every month. We try different tweaking things every here and there. So I mean that's just part of the process now. But Chris, what I love about it is all I do is I just give you the video. Like, hey, try these. This is some creative and figure out which is the right one.
And you know what's hilarious? How we found out what creative worked is we were trying static ads. And I remember I said, something's not working. So I went into Facebook and I just went on your page and I started scrolling through and I found a short and I said, can I use this? The minute.
Minute. You asked me, hey, what about these shorts? I go, people don't know this. I publish 2 shorts every day, right? Morning and afternoon for like the last few years. So I've got hundreds of these, short form videos. I'm like, you want one? Sure. Like, knock yourself out. Let's see if it works, right? I did, because since it wasn't like a pitch, it wasn't anything. I'm like, I don't think this will work. And like, I think it's been the best performing, ad so far.
It's still the best. It's still the best performing today. Today.
So, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And for me, it's been very humbling, honestly, to like, I don't know what I don't know. So we got to test it. When in doubt, test it out and see what people say.
Because you don't know. What I like too is if you think about this, Gustavo, and we're going back on the real estate agents and stuff like that. With an ISA, you guys, what you're doing for real estate agents, I think is phenomenal, and I think is great and wonderful. But if you add that with your ads too, you've already got someone to do all the follow up, all the work. You're basically just running a real estate agency now, and you're not having to do that. That's why I think it all just adds together perfectly. I'm not saying. And I'll say this again. I'm not telling you to go out there and spend $1,000 a day. I'm just saying test. You can test. Does it take longer and does it take a little bit more time if you're testing $20 a day? Absolutely. But it's a test. It's $20 a day. At least you're testing something and you're trying to figure it out. And once you figure it out, I mean, what's the ROI on a $20 sale? I mean, if you get a lead off of $20 and you happen to sell a house, what kind of ROI is that?
Ridiculous. Yeah, 100%. And I want to tell folks, right? Because a lot of folks when they hear Facebook ads, Meta ads, they kind of roll their eyes. Oh my God, really low quality. And what they mean are lead forms. That and I probably would agree with them. Yeah, those are lower qualities. They're harder to convert. All these things, right? The ads that we're talking about, I'm going to throw out some stats out there. They have a 70% attended rate on because they book an appointment. The funnel is, they see the ad, they go to this landing page, they watch the video, they book a call on our calendar. These appointments have a 70% attended rate for us, and that's almost as good as our organic, like people that want to work with us. Like, it's almost the same. Right, which is, and when we talk to these people, Chris, they've never heard of us before the ad. Like they have no clue. It's a cold audience, right? So this works, right? This has like a tangible, result. The best closer on my team can close these deals at almost a 40% rate, right? Which is crazy. He's really good. So I'm trying to spread the knowledge and the wealth among the rest of the team. Because paid ads are harder than organic, based leads.
They are.
But what's wrong with organic based leads? It's hard to scale that sucker. Like it's really challenging. If we want to get to where we want to get to, I tell my team this every single month. I have to remind them. If we want to get to where, yes, ads are harder. If we want to get to where we want to go, we got to figure out ads. Like this isn't an option. This is not optional anymore, right? Got to figure it out. We got to figure it out. So, getting people that are cold, but that have a need, right? They have a need. They're interested in the offer. They're interested in the ad. They look at the VSL. They're like, oh, okay, this is exactly what I need. That's what I'm thinking, because once they get on the call, 70% are going to show up to a booked call, which is phenomenal for Facebook. I think it's phenomenal for Facebook.
Yes.
Most teams are happy if they get 50%. That's a great result for most teams if we're doing Facebook. 50% attended is amazing. We do 70% attended. And of those attended calls, my best guy can close 30-40% of those calls into actual clients. If you were to translate that into real estate, like, holy cow, that's real money, right? Even if your cost to acquire a deal is like $1,000 or $2,000, right? If your cost to acquire a client is $2,000, that's in the most mediocre market in America, that's a 4x ROI. You're going to get 4 times your money back in gross commission. And in some of these larger markets, it's a 10x ROI. or 15x ROI if you can acquire clients at a couple $1,000 a piece, right? So
Right.
I wish I had those kind of multipliers, even if my cost was $1,000. But for real estate agents, I think it's a really big opportunity, right? But I can't stress this enough. There are solutions out there that are done for you, like the tools and the boilerplate stuff, and maybe that stuff will work. That's great. We're talking about something different. This is custom made. This is, I don't know, hand forged,
And Forge.
a funnel. Yeah, kind of made from scratch. And I'm a little bit different. I sell to real estate agents. Maybe mine is harder. Like you can make that argument, right? I probably would argue that going to regular vanilla buyers and sellers can be easier than that, right? But if I were to look at, Chris, at the amount of agents that use a VSL that have that kind of funnel, I don't even think it's 1% of the agents out there have that. I don't even think it's 1%. I think it's less than that. Okay, because we've worked with almost 3,000 real estate agents. How many had actual of the three? Let me think about that. Of the 3,000 agents, how many had? I probably can count them on one hand. How many had actual VSL, actual funnels, actually, like more,
Right.
interesting marketing, and because they knew what they were doing, right? Like, holy cow! But the rest of them, they were fine paying Zillow to do it, or paying
Right.
Ylopo to do it, right? Someone else. Oh, I'll just do pay per click. I'll do something else. And I go, if you can figure this out for real estate, a buyer or a seller, make an ad that's attractive to a buyer or a seller. Make a video, like a little mini class. A 5-minute video, 10-minute video on how you can help them solve their problem, and have them book a call with you. I bet people are gonna get really amazing results with that. Like that, I think it would kind of blow their
Mhm.
mind with that. And and don't make the mistake that I made. Don't eliminate all the thing about me, Chris, is I'll do the right thing once I've eliminated all the other options. Sometimes, right? Like every other option, I
Yes.
try. Okay, let's try that, right? But I would go straight to the landing page. Just don't. This is Facebook. The low hanging, the easy will deliver a lot of noise, right? That's just by
Mhm.
design how it works. You got to put some friction in there. You got to put that funnel in there, done the right way. I think you can get some really awesome results with that. So that's a great question for you, Chris. Chris, if you were working with a real estate agent today, I don't know, man, out of Nashville, Tennessee, hey, I want to generate some clients with these ads. Gus told me landing page is the way to go. How would you wrap your head around that problem? What would you try out? What would be the way you kind of figure out that space for a real estate agent?
Well, the first thing would be just getting to know one. I'd have to sit down and talk about their business. What is it that you're looking for? Are you looking for listings? You looking for sale? I mean, what are you looking for? Find out exactly what drives you. Because some people, believe me, I've seen them. There's people that don't like to list. There's people that
Yeah.
don't like to, they just don't like to do
They,
certain
they,
things.
they want buyer focused
Yeah.
ads, or they want seller focused ads.
Right.
They have a certain type that they like to work with, right? I agree with you.
And we do. We're in an age of AI. I don't mind sitting there and saying that. I do have a lot of things that I use in the AI world just to give me an idea of your market, find out your market, and then just come up with some strategy. It's all going to depend on. And I hate to use this term because I know every time I say this word, it freaks people out. But it is all going to come down to budget. If budget says, "Hey, I have XYZ a day that I can spend, not counting my fee." If I have XYZ that I can spend, then I want to see, okay, can I put $50 over here? Can I put $50 over here? And test multiple things, because it is funny. Yes, I might have said earlier that I hate lead forms, but if I come out the gate and a lead form does something really good, guess what?
Yeah,
So,
problem
and the
solved.
thing is not a lot of people understand this is every ad account's different.
Yeah,
A lot of people think that the ad accounts, oh, well, I can run this same exact ad. I've tested this theory, Gustavo. I had 5 guys in a room.
look,
We
I
all ran the
saw it.
five
Like
exact same
I had like
rooms.
5 ad accounts at the same time. It was crazy.
And we did the 5 exact same thing. And guess what? All 5 of us got different results. So some ad accounts love video. Some ad accounts like images. Some ad accounts like this. Some ad accounts like that. It's trying to tweak it and find that out. But then once I find out your market, find out what you're wanting, I do love the landing page idea. I'm not going to say I've tried it. I have not tried it on a buyer or a seller for that, but I think it would be a phenomenal test. Also remember that there's no such thing as if you build it, they'll come. There's no such thing. You got to build it, try it. It's tweaking. It's trying to figure it out. I have a theory that, and it's funny. I have a theory where I don't think it's not ever going to not work. It's, can you sustain the cost until we find out what?
Okay, so I love that, because you can't skip that. You can't avoid that, right? So I'm going to be real with folks. I think I was ROI positive on a project like this probably after the 4th month. And before that, you're investing. You're trying things out. You're trying the lead form. You're trying the messenger ad. You're trying the one VSL or a second VSL or a third VSL. So you're not going to see massive results, right away. It just doesn't work that way. And then after month 6, and we start to see like really big, much bigger, higher ROI. Now to where like it's a part of my forecast. Like, hey, I'm going to close. I know, right? We're going to get about these many appointments this month. Da da da. We can close as a team. Not as great. One guy's good. The rest of them are on their way. We can close at this rate. How many deals am I going to get next month, next quarter from ads?
Right.
Okay, great. What's my ROI? Da, 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 da. I can factor that in now. I couldn't do that back in January, February. It didn't make it was insane. It didn't make any sense. Now I have the data. Now I can plan forward. I've never been able to do that with a lead source, just to let you know.
Oh, that's awesome.
In my business. Ever, right? Because
that makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm doing my job.
100%, right? So it's at a sense of predictability to where before we didn't have any, right? So I think it helps, and we're getting better at it, because right now, like I told you, my big thing is the closing part. Right? We got to get that more of a higher level. But once we get that dialed in, like, hey, let's rock and roll, like full steam ahead, right? 100%. So you cannot skip that iterative process. You got to go into it. I think a minimum 6 months. I don't know what your recommendation is.
I usually say at least 3, but I mean, you're right. It's more like, because
the big numbers.
Yeah, because by the time you figure it out, you have spent some money and you got to recoup. But again, the beauty of the real estate side, not even your side, the ISA side, the beauty of the real estate side is one deal, depending on the deal.
Oh yeah,
the ROI is so high, you've made your money back.
With that's a big difference. You're right. I think it's a longer sales cycle. You can argue that, but one deal coming in, boom, you're in the black with one deal.
Right. Now that the market rates, now that rates are starting to come down again, and FHA and all this is starting to play around. I mean, sky could be the limit. I mean, what better way to put yourself out there instead of being? And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the automated tools, but here's the thing: if it's automated and it's in all these big brands and things like that, that means everyone's doing it. The competition is going to be even higher. Number 2 is, if it was so great, why is you should be closing even more. It's so great, we'll be closing even more. So I mean, I feel like taking ownership of your own business, trying to figure it out, and whether that spending some money into your marketing, figuring some things out, going out, and I mean, think about if you had just a listing landing page, just a landing page just for people to get to know you as an agent in the area, running. I'm not even saying $high ads, running $10, $15 a day, just to have people to join your opt-in list. Just so you could put them on a messaging flow, so they always are in front of you. So 6 months down the road, when they decide they want to list their home, guess who they're going to call? You're at the top of mind.
100%. That's a good point, Chris. I didn't mention this, but every single person that goes to our funnel gets on my newsletter, and they get an invitation to my Facebook group, right? And I'm sure that's part of it, right? The reason we've had a lot of success too, because
Absolutely.
We're getting people to come through, and what you do with them matters, right? If we only waited for the booked call, I mean, we close a lot of deals, but we put them in the ecosystem. So I'm sure that 12 months from now, my conversion rate will be much higher. Because people that are still kind of on the fence, they're not really sure, even if they don't, buy with us, they're in the ecosystem. They look at my content. I do a lot of YouTube stuff. I do Facebook stuff. They get all of it, right? I do webinars. I do a lot every week. I'm probably the on the other end of the spectrum for most agents. Every week I do a webinar or something like this, right? Every week, and they get that. They see my expertise in this area. And this area, in this topic, right? And like, okay, cool. And we play the long game. Like I said, I have a calling team. We will nurture leads for years that'll become our clients, right? So right now the ROI is really good. A year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years, it's going to be way better. just because I have a lot of
Right.
confidence in the ecosystem that we
Well,
build, that we
it,
drop these people into.
yeah, and you have it set up to a way. Think about it. I mean, we know this in sales, and every agent that's going to watch this video knows that a it takes 7, 10, 12 touches before someone actually purchases anything. So I think too many people, the reason there's such a fallacy around Facebook ads is they think, okay, well, if I throw the ads money in there, I should be getting return right then, right there, not
30
understanding that
days, right? Yeah.
that's cold. Facebook traffic is cold traffic. That's people that do not know you. And it's cold traffic. So you're trying to take someone on a date and you're asking for a kiss up front. That's not going to work. It's like we got to date a little while before I can actually. So getting them in your ecosystem, putting them on an email list. You can even set up something like High Level or something and set up SMS to where they're starting to get texts
100%.
from you, and you could text them properties. And oh my gosh, it's just, and I just feel like too many people they feel like Facebook is like I call it a virtual slot machine in the sky, where they stick this virtual quarter in and they go ching ching, and they think that all these thousands of dollars are going to. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. I mean, and I like to think of ads like an investment. So who do you know? And I even said this to a client the other day because he was saying, well, I just don't know if I should go up on my budget. And I'm like, well, let me ask you a question. You're spending $50 a day. Your ticket is $2,000. Where do you know that you can go right now? Because if you know this place, I don't want to know because I'm going to go put some money in there, that I can spend $50 in and get 2,000 back. It doesn't work that way. it's investing. You got to be willing to spend a break even point. Don't get me wrong. I mean, yeah, I'm not saying we don't get that number down to there where you're spending 50, making $2,000, but in the beginning, you got to be willing to put something into the kitty, something in there to see, okay, if I put 100, can I get 100 back? Maybe break even, maybe not even break even in the beginning. Like I told you when I first met you, I said, yeah, I didn't know it was going to work. I said, well, let me just try some stuff first. If I can get it to work, then we'll talk about money. But now that I started making it work, I'm like, okay, well, what is this worth? What is this worth to you? And then still be fair, because I don't want to be unfair with anyone in their budgets, because I get it. It's a business, and we all are here trying to help each other and make money. I mean, I'm trying to make money. You're trying to make money. But my goal is to make you happy, because if Gustavo's happy, guess what? I don't have to go look for other clients.
Like a sale. Every month is like a new sale, right? For every month you retain a client is like selling, someone.
Yeah. I mean, the longer you keep a client, you've won. I mean, it's the same way with the real estate agents and stuff. Is the more people they get on their list, because we know the lists are big, we know the lists are huge. Well, yeah, they might not buy this year, but guess what? Next year, if they're on your list and they're in your ecosystem and they're going through, or they didn't even know you even had that product. Use another VSL. They didn't even know that property was even a listing right now. And all of a sudden, you have a landing page that just popped up in their feed in the tri-state area. That will do some stuff. And the good thing is if you're doing stuff like a local, like I live in South Carolina, Greenville County. Well, now that's even smaller, so I don't have to spend as much because I'm still hit the whole area.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I forgot about that. That's a great point, because I run ads in the U.S. and Canada, like the whole country, and it's a whole different cost structure. If I only had to advertise in one county, are you kidding me? Like that, that'd be amazing, right? Because you could hit people. Your frequency can go way, way, way higher, and you can be top of mind, faster. Maybe you got to make some more creative to get people's attention on the front end, and switch it up a little bit. But I think there's a lot of advantages to being like hyper local, right? And that actually brings me to the next topic. If people if you're watching this video and you're kind of nodding your head, okay, I think that's a good idea. Maybe we can give that a try. But Gus, what would be my what would be my pitch? What would be my VSL? What would be the angle that I use for the ad? I think we can talk a little bit about that, because I kind of had an advantage there, Chris, because I create a lot of content, right? I'm mostly a content-based marketer. I do, so I kind of know what people are going to want if they're interested in ISA. So my VSL, I already had one actually, right, from a previous project. We used the VSL. It was great. If I were starting it from scratch, right? If I'm a real estate agent in Nashville, Tennessee, I'd go, okay, great. What's the market right now, right? Is it like a seller's market? Is it a buyer's market? Like, what do I want to attract? And what is an offer that is attractive to those people, right? Like, let's say, interest rates super high, but I've been able to help a lot of my clients, find assumable loans. I'm a VA guy, VA expert. I might maybe
Yeah.
even a veteran myself, right? Like I know that loan inside and out. I know it can be assumable, right? Great. You should be talking about that, right? Like tell them about the VA loan ins and outs and how you can
Yes.
help, them with either assumable or that. Make a 5-7 minute video about that, and your phone's gonna ring, right? Like people are gonna want to know more about that, right? Because if that's your thing, that's your thing. So when I was in Seattle, my thing, like my pitch, my people would come to me because I'm bilingual. I was an immigrant to that area, right? Came from Mexico. So my niche was, and I was working there as an engineer. So if you came to the U.S. to work at, like Boeing or Amazon or something, and you spoke Spanish, and your wife probably didn't even speak much English, so that was my value add. Hey, I went through like 18 visa classifications, and I know how to get your bank statements, da da da, when you're new in the country. I talk about that, right? Because that speaks to my expertise. Like I am the best at working with people that fit that category, right? They really high earners in that area. They didn't know a lot of things that are kind of obvious to a lot of other agents. And I would bridge that gap, right? I
Yes.
have empathy. I literally speak your language, especially the spouse, who usually didn't speak that good English. We can have a great conversation, and she makes the decisions anyway. What are we talking about? We can speak the same language, right? And those other agents can't. So, what is that thing that makes you better than everybody else, right? You said it, Chris, the unique, selling proposition, unique value proposition. What is that thing? And I would start there. Like make
Yes.
an ad about that, make a VSL about that, because that's going to set you apart anyway, right? And if you're not sure, well, then you might have to try a few different things, a few different angles to see which one gets people's attention.
Hmm.
But you should have that, and maybe it's like 3 steps to getting qualified for a home. When we were in a really hot sellers market, the market's more balanced now. I would have made a VSL saying, "Hey, 3 steps to win a property in this market, like how to actually compete and win." Because these are like auctions. There's so many buyers. Like, how do you
So
actually
many.
do that, right? 100%. Now that we have more buyers and sellers in some of these markets, I would do the opposite, right? Like, how to make your home sell in this market. If you're in South Florida, where they have more inventory than they know what to do with, how to get your home actually to sell in this market. Like,
Right.
speak to the pain point they have, speak to the fear, speak to the issue. So that's my thought on that. I don't know if you have any other thoughts on that. But when you're wide open like this, like, okay, go back down to what's the offer that can work? What's the angle that's going to get people's attention? And of course, test it out. Test it out, because you usually make one VSL, but the ads that like lead into that VSL, you might have to make a lot of those, because
Right.
those are the ones that you're just never sure which one's going to get people's attention.
Well, you try other things too. I mean, because let's face it. I mean, there's going to be some agents on this call that can't get in front of a camera. I'm not going to do that. There's other things we can test. I mean, we
Yeah,
can test an image. We can test. There's so many things. It's not just you on the video. Does it help? Yes, because then they get to understand your personality, get this understanding who you are. But there's some people that just don't like that either. So it's hitting the market where they're at, finding out what makes you different. What is why should I use you and not the other 10 real estate agents in your office?
100%. Yeah, and that's a great question to ask. And you're right. Some agents are not going to be comfortable on camera. What is funny though is that most agents are comfortable with people they don't know, like they talk about real estate. I would suggest to agents get into that mindset. You're talking to someone about real estate. That forget that
Yes.
this is a VSL. Like you're talking to someone about real estate, and just get that energy and get yourself in that headspace. And you're probably going to do fine, right? Because most agents you can't shut up about real estate, right?
Yeah.
That's what you should focus on.
Or do like we're doing here. Just get one of your buddies on a camera like this. And now this is not what we're doing. Gustav is actually interviewing me, but get on a camera like this and have your buddy or someone in your agency interview you, and you're answering questions that has to do with the market that you want to sell in. That would be, I mean, it would be great. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's worth a shot.
Test it out. Test it out. Put some money behind it and see what works. Like I said, this isn't going to be an iterative process, but it is worth it, right? to develop a brand new lead source, for your company, which is what, we've done with you, Chris. So, really grateful to you too, for jumping in and helping us kind of make this work. And, I just admire someone that's like a tinkerer, like someone that will work a problem and they can't stop until they find a solution to that problem, right? And they just don't stop being curious, and they don't stop trying new stuff. And that's what we needed. Someone that was a tinkerer and that was really easy to work with and can just refine things down to what we needed, right? Like let's tweak this, let's tweak that until we find a really, really good result. So, anyways, Chris, this has been a great, great conversation, about how to create the perfect real estate funnel, how to create, the perfect ad, for real estate. I hopefully this will be useful for a lot of folks. If people want to continue the conversation, they want to reach out to you, what's the best way to find you, Chris?
So a bunch of ways. You could go to, you could email me, Chris B, clientstrategy@gmail.com. I don't even mind giving out my phone number. My phone number, you could text me at 864-444-7163. You can also go to my site, which it hasn't been updated in God knows how long because I'm too busy working with everybody else, but you can go to leadgensolutions.org.
Okay. All right. Awesome. You heard it here first, folks. So, I met Chris. Chris is a great guy. And I told him, you know what? I have a lot of gratitude. And I offered, hey, let's do one of these, interviews, so my audience get to know you, hopefully pick up a few new clients. Chris has been, great to work with. We've been working for almost a year now as we're recording this, almost a year. So that in lead generation terms, that's like forever.
Oh yeah, that's a long time.
As lead gen goes, right? So, and I've worked with a lot of lead gen companies. So, I don't just recommend Chris because he's a cool guy and want him to win. I have proven results for him over the last year, right? He's been doing a phenomenal job for us. So I'm pretty sure he'll do a great job for you guys. So you guys definitely reach out and let me know. If someone hires, let me know, because I want to know if these theories we're talking about, these ideas, I'd love to see them play out in the real world, and I'd love to help out any which way I can, right? So, reach out to Chris, reach out to me, and I'm sure we can help you out. All right, cool.
Thank you, Gustavo. Appreciate you.